Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Kim. Welcome. This channel talks about my love of yarn with knitting and crochet. And if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. Today we're kind of wrapping up the month of August, and I'm going to show you all the things that I've gotten myself into in the past week. There was a little video that I put up on Friday for Finish It Friday. I hope you check that out and see my little recently completed knitted sheep. They're so tiny and so adorable, and I just love them so much. And they were a lot of fun to make. I'm really excited about seeing who wins the poll. There is a poll currently up on my community tab. I don't know if this video will be able to go up in time by the time that poll ends, but I've had you, the viewers, vote on my next Finish It Friday project. And that was with either a Chihuahua or the Labrador crocheted little dog. And I am doing that in collaboration, I guess you can say, with the Yarn Joy podcast, who is Terry. Every Friday, she randomly picks from a bowl these different little kits that she has, and then she works on that. And I asked her if I can join along, and she said yes, because I have a whole bunch of those kits. And I'm thinking I may do a video and show you the ones that I have, if that is something that you are interested in seeing. But today, I'm going to show you all the things that I've gotten into this last week of August. And I've gotten myself into a lot of things. I don't know what I was thinking. Honestly, I can tell you what I was thinking. I was dealing with the loss of my 16-year-old Yorkie and trying to process those emotions of losing a dear friend that I've had for the past 16 and a half years. And it's been very hard. I made a post on my community tab, and so many of you had commented, and I'm greatly appreciative for those comments. But it's been very hard for me to read those comments, so I will read them and respond to you. And I do appreciate them dearly. It's just, I'm still having these moments where I remember he's not here, and it's been a little hard. It's been hard. So I've been losing myself in the yarn, and I think that has been very therapeutic for me, and so I'm very grateful to have that outlet. So what started my whole week was looking into Boggy Creek blankets. I had a live and we went through and looked at some patterns. I'll link those patterns in that video post in the description. But moving on, we're going to talk about what has gotten me totally just enamored with projects. So I'm starting my Boggy Creek blanket. I went ahead and sorted all my James Barrett Marble Chunky by color, and I'm just going to randomly pull and see where that leads me. I did choose a pattern to make for Boggy Creek, and that is this autumn something pattern. Basically, it's just a big growing granny square that is crocheted. And my thought process was to use the yarn video where I sorted it out, the James Barrett Marble Chunky. And that is yarn that is actually from my mother-in-law. So if you're new to my channel, I am my mother-in-law's caretaker, I guess you can say, for lack of a better term. I do all of their cleaning, and we do cook for them. I go over during the day and make her breakfast and give her lunch and stuff when my father-in-law is at work with my husband, because we do own a small business and they work together. And when she first started her journey in her disease, she does have early onset Alzheimer's. I had never seen her knit or crochet or anything the entire time I've been married to my husband. But I knew that she knew how to do them because she is Austrian. So she grew up in Austria during the war, World War II, and it was a way of life for her and her mom and her sister. All three of them lived in a one-room apartment in the downtown parts of Austria, and they had to knit or crochet their clothes for winter. She often tells me stories of growing up in Vienna and other parts of Austria and walking in the snow and having her leggings, you know, get so wet that they were kind of sagging, and about her little things that would pull them up. She used to talk about her, the swimsuit that her mom had knitted her, and how she got in the water and it like just grew and she was so embarrassed. But I knew and I read about the benefits of knitting and crochet with things like brain degenerative diseases. And that's actually what got me into knitting and crochet. I had read about it and I wanted to get into it so maybe I could get her back into it to kind of help with her disease. And that's what I did. I taught myself to crochet and then to knit. And then sure enough, I was able to do that with her one day and get her back into it. Now, when her disease first started, there used to be this little bitty yarn store not far from here, and they sold this chunky yarn called James Brett Marble Chunky. And there's actually a video of that yarn store on this channel because I just loved it so much. And honestly, I think it was a vital part of my own knitting and crochet journey. But we would go in there. I would take her because she couldn't drive even early on. She would pick out a pack of yarn. She always got 5 balls, and she would make this crocheted chevron blanket. That's the only thing she could remember to make from her childhood. And so that's something that she repetitively made over and over and over until recently, really. But she would make these blankets. I have one actually over there. It's a pink one. And I have a bunch of them in our house, all different colors. And she would make it, and then whatever leftover yarn she had, she would just throw it in this big basket by her couch. And then as she progresses, she had these single balls, and I tried to get her to use them all together, but she couldn't understand mixing the colors. She would start it, and I would help her and show her, okay, now pick this color and do a couple rows in this color. And then if I leave the room, she would look at it and realize, oh, I got the wrong color, and just rip it out. So she told me eventually just to take the yarn, and so I did. I'd still keep her supplied with the yarn. She has 5 balls that I bought her probably about a year ago, but her crocheting has really slowed down because of her memory. And she just kind of works on it every now and then. Still makes me happy to see her work on it because I know it is a relaxing thing for her and it helps her on days that are kind of hard. But I realized that I had all these balls of James Brett Marble Chunky, and I needed something to do with them because they take up a large area. Once I had seen this pattern, I thought this would be a great use for the kids at Boggy Creek because these kids are also going through diseases. That's why they are there. And I just think that's a beautiful way to use the leftovers to help another person going through a disease or hard time. So the first one I started was this. And this, I actually put a post on my community tab about this because I was like, are these kind of blankets acceptable? Because it's kind of holy, because it's just a growing granny. Looking at this and I'm like, okay, this may not be the best colors for kids. It's great colors for me. I love this. But for kids, they may not be feeling it. It's not very kid-esque. As I was looking at the yarn for this, which I have 2 of these browns. This is how much brown I have left. And I think I have 1 more of this. And you can see where there's part of a chevron that I tried to get her to start and add another color. And then she ripped out the other color. So I have enough of this, but not enough really for a blanket. So what I'm going to do with this actually is I'm going to rip this out and I'm going to make this into a cushion, I think, or a chair cover for my counter height stool that I use to sit at with my little L-shaped desk that I built. And I thought that would be really pretty in here, but I just really love that combo. And so that's what that's going to be for. So then I was like, okay, obviously I'm setting that aside for that chair cover. I really need to start a blanket for Boggy Creek. So I got more yarn. And I don't even know. I'm like, hey, this is pretty. I was just going to use a bunch of bright colors and do some kind of wooded theme color blanket. And I got this one green. This is actually puzzle. And I think this colorway is called Maze. This is something that I got at Walmart. It didn't have a ball band. They just had a clearance sticker on it for $3 because it was just like this. It was a nightmare. And I was like, I'll buy it. But I was like, okay, that kind of does this woodland thing. And then I have these reds. Now this red is called, I think it's color 14, Berries. I'm like 99.5% sure. And I'm like, okay, that's fun. So I started this. And I love how this was turning out. I started with, I was really worried about the holes, all the holes of the granny blanket. Okay, so what if it's not warm enough for them? I don't really crochet a lot of blankets, so I don't have a lot of crochet blanket knowledge. I mean, I crocheted this one, but it's all a chevron. And then I'm crocheting the Sophies, but it's not really wholly. So I started with the granny square autumn thing. But then I just kind of started doing these random stitches. And then I'm looking at this and I'm like, I really want this to be a Christmas blanket for my house. So, and like really from here, I just kind of started going off on my own tangent. I am not a crochet designer. I'm not a blanket designer. I don't crochet blankets at all. But I was just kind of playing around with stitches. But I did some front post thingy bobs. And I just really loved how it turned out. And I'm like, okay, I really need this to be a Christmas blanket. So I set that aside because I really need to focus on a blanket for Boggy Creek. And I realized that I have plenty of this brown, but I do need to order probably one more ball of the berries. And I need to track down one more ball of this Maze puzzle yarn from Premier to complete this. But is this not like the prettiest, like Christmassy colors? Like, love it. Got on the floor and I started digging out yarn again. And so I finally got to where I am at a happy place on my project for Boggy Creek. So this is my Boggy Creek blanket. This is the process that I have going for my Boggy Creek blanket. Again, I started off with that autumn something, I'll put the name right here, growing granny blanket. And then I did some front post around a section, and then I started going just into some double crochets. And then I put in some greens, and I'm actually starting to put some more blue back on here, and I'm doing some more front posts, and I'm going to go around. And then I have, for this one, I have plenty of the green. I think I have 2 or 3 of the big balls, and then just a little bit. I have one bigger ball of this, and then I have this bit, and then I have this smaller, darker blue, and then a bigger one. So this blanket is just going to be blues and greens, and I figured that they are very colorful, and they're a lot brighter and more youthful anyways than the other 2 blankets. And I'm liking where this is going with the solid section and then granny style section. So my goal, or my plan, my vision, I guess that's the correct word, is to continue this process doing some of the front posts. And then I am going to do some more of this granny style stitch in the blue for a couple of rounds, and then I may go back to more solid panels. So that way it kind of has the airflow, but it also has some kind of warmth factor in case they need that later on. And I'm going to make this the 40 by 40 square. I think when I measured it the other day, I'm right at 23 or 24 inches. But I do like how this is turning out, and I think it's going to be a really good Boggy Creek blanket. It's really, really pretty yarn. I love the color depth, and I think the blues and the greens could work for a boy or a girl. I love blues and greens, and when I think about Boggy Creek in Florida, which is where Boggy Creek is, I think about the blue water and the ocean, but Florida still has all the palm trees and the green vegetation, and I just think it just works. I don't know. What do you think? So that is my work in progress Boggy Creek blanket. Now I do want to show you the back because it is scary. There are so many ends to weave in. So as I'm going through these, as Mama has went through her disease, and when she was crocheting, sometimes she would start a blanket and realize she did not make it big enough, and she would go to rip it out, and the yarn would get stuck, and so she would just cut it. So as I'm going through some of these balls that she hand round, I'm realizing there was a lot of cut pieces, but I want to utilize this yarn. So I've left really long tails with purpose so I can weave them in very, very well and not have to worry about them coming undone when the blanket is washed by the child's parents. Also, I want to point out that, let me figure out where it is. One of these front posts in this darker blue, I had totally skipped. And I'm going around. I was several sections in, and I'm looking and I'm like, oh no, I left out one of the front posts. I was not going to rip back and add that sucker in. So what I did, and I've done this before on my Sophies, and you cannot tell whatsoever, but I literally made a slip knot, and is it right here? It's this one right here. I made a slip knot, and then I did a standing triple crochet around where the post was supposed to be, and then I caught the two stitches above where it should have been, and I just pulled the yarn through, and I'll weave that yarn in opposite directions, and then nobody will know. So it's like it was there the whole time, but it was not, because it was made like when I was all the way up here. So, and you can't tell that I added that in at all. That's a little trick for you if you ever need to go back and add in a post, because it works. So as far as finished objects, the only finished objects I have are the sheep that I shared in the video on Friday. I'm not going to show those here because you may have already seen those. Not a lot of people have seen that video, so you may not have seen them. Go check out the video, please. But I do want to show you one more work in progress, and it's not knitting or crochet. It's actually cross stitch. I know, right? What had happened was I went to Hobby Lobby, honestly, because, and y'all are going to laugh at me. I have been craving some circus peanuts, and the only place around here that I know to find circus peanuts that are ever fresh are at Hobby Lobby. And I wanted to go get the She Shed light that's up there because I saw that they started carrying those for $10, and I'm like, I need that for my shed. So me and my youngest son took off to Hobby Lobby, and I went looking around for that sign. And I just happened to go into the fall stuff. And so they have these fall kits in the fall section. First of all, I saw this crochet kit. And when I went, the fall stuff was 40% off, which I'm like, this was $10.99 retail with 40% off. And it actually has all the yarn. It has a plastic crochet hook. It has a darning needle. It has buttons, and it has the pattern. But it makes this cute little scarecrow, and I'm like, I need that in my life. So I bought that. It even has the stuffing. So if you're interested in making that, Hobby Lobby, $10. All of the fall stuff is 40 to 50% off right now because we're in fall. And so I got that for a later project, which that will go in the bin of kits and stuff to make with the Finish It Friday. But I also saw this cross stitch kit. I love gnomes, I love mushrooms, and I love fall and pumpkins. So this was a no-brainer to me as far as, do I need this cross stitch kit? The answer was yes. Yes, I need that for all the fall loves and vibes. And I came home and I already started. I originally had set it up in one of my smaller things, but then I found that I'd stuck this bigger one in here with my other current cross stitch project, and so I took it off that one and put it on this one because this is what I want to focus on. So I started this Saturday, and then Saturday I did the entire bottom of the gnomes and the pumpkins. This is my first time actually doing a printed cross stitch. I think that's what they're called, where the design is also somewhat printed on the fabric. I usually just do counted cross stitch. I'm not really good on cross stitch lingo as well. Sorry. Where you just kind of count and then you start the pattern on your own. But this one kind of has it faintly on the fabric, which I must say is quite nice because you don't have to count the little boxes. The only bad thing about this kit though is the quality of the thread. I mean, it's not the best, people. I almost just threw away the thread and used some of my own DMC floss, but I want to utilize the kit. So this kit retails for $9.99, and also it was 40% off, and it does have everything, including the really cute little hoop to put it on when it's done. I don't like to work on those kind of hoops though, because I don't really like to leave it in the hoop if I'm not working on it that much. I will take it out. It doesn't put as much stress on the fabric. Oh, I need to show you my cute needle minder. So this is one of the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery needle minders. I love their products. I have another kit of theirs I want to make. And my other cross stitch work in progress is also one of their kits. But the yarns that came with this are just like this. And they're just kind of tied. And they're not very, I don't think they're the highest quality. So even doing this, I did this all in one strand, where I pulled off the 2 strands. But after going through the fabric a couple of times, the floss gets a little hairy. It starts kind of having little flyaways and fuzziness, which is fine. I like the fact that it's kind of matted, I guess you could, not really like as in knotted, but like a matte finish on this. I think it's kind of pretty and not really shiny, but it was kind of frustrating to work with because it kept knotting if it rubbed against itself. So that's something that made it slower of a process, but I'm going to continue on. The only problem is the color code that they give you. You kind of have to look. And like I'm supposed to have red, and I'm guessing this darker orange here is what they consider the red. I don't know. I just kind of feel like that could be a little bit more intuitive and more descriptive, but I'm just going to have a make it work moment because I'm just all about the gnomes, the mushroom, and the guy's hand, and then the pumpkin because it's just precious. Which, that brings me to something else I got into this week, which is not something that I've done in a while. And that is, I bought a book. I've not bought a book in quite some time. But I just really had this pull to get back into reading. And I can't even remember where I saw this book. I think this is actually like something going around TikTok right now, this series. Is it called TikTok? Yeah, it's TikTok. I'm not a TikToker. Someone had actually shared this on Facebook, and I'm like, hey, that looks very fallish, and so I bought it. Which is really not a reason to buy a book. But I must say, I don't hate it at all. It's very Hallmark. It's very Hallmark, that's the word. Very Hallmark fall. So, you know how they have all their Christmas shows? It's like that, but fall and in a book form. And there's actually 4 books from this series. This is the only one that's out right now. I think one comes out in September, and one in October, and possibly one in November or December. But this one deals with fall. One of them, I think, deals with Christmas. And I don't know. I'm here for them. I'm enjoying them. So far, I'm on chapter 5. It's thicker, but you can see the font size. It's not like heavy reading. It's just like pleasurable. Sit outside with some coffee for 10 to 15 minutes and read a chapter. That kind of reading. To kind of get me in this fall mood and to get me doing something and exercising my brain, I guess. It's not very in depth, we'll say that. But I like it. It's called the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, and it's the season to fall in love. And the author is Lori Gilmore. It's so cute. I don't know. I'm enjoying it though. I'm really enjoying it. I read a chapter every morning, and I literally go sit out on my swing before the sun comes up, have my coffee, and I've been reading and take a project to work on. And sit out there till the heat just gets to where I can't stand it anymore. And then I go inside. But that's a pretty good little book in case you're interested, and I will link it down below. So the next thing I have to share with you is a purchase, and I wasn't really going to buy anything. I was not in the market to buy anything. I wanted to try out a different crochet hook. I saw that I was originally trying to find the new Knit Pro Waves. They have a new crochet hook line out called the Waves 2.0, and I was going to order one of them to try it out to see how close they are as far as the metal to like the Clover Armoire. And so I went to Jimmy Beans to purchase one of those. But they didn't have any. All they have was the Knit Pro Zings, which are a metal crochet hook. So I was like, I'll try one of those because I wanted to compare it to some other crochet hooks because I've never had one. And I put that in my basket, and then I saw that Jimmy Beans bought out Madeline Tosh a while back. And Laura has been coming up with, who's the owner of Jimmy Beans, with this line of our collection of Madeline Tosh that deals with the different states. And the last time I looked, Alabama did not have a color yet. And so when I pulled it up this time, lo and behold, Alabama now has a color. And I was like, I really want that because it's really, really pretty. And for me, it looks very autumnal. It looks very like apple picking season, which would make sense because, you know, it's Alabama. People grow apples here. They grow different garden variety things or orchard things. And so I decided to make a purchase. I also purchased one of the stitch markers to go with it. But this is the yarn. This is the Madeline Tosh. It's a hand-dyed yarn. And it is the Tosh Vintage base, which is a worsted weight base. It's one of my favorite bases. It is. It's so nice. And this is called Custom JBW, Jimmy Beans Wool, Sweet Hank, Alabama. And it's 200 yards, 115 grams. It's a 4-weight yarn, and it is a super wash wool. You can wash it in the wash machine, but I'm not going to wash any kind of wool in the wash machine. I just don't trust it. I just think it's absolutely gorgeous. It has like these appley colors in there, and then there's just these colors of plants, and I see the orange and I think of, you know, the orange bell peppers that I love to grow in our garden, or the green from the plants, and the yellow from the sun, and I don't know, or the sunflowers. It's just, it's very, very pretty. I really like the colors, but it does kind of give me these fall jewel tone vibes, and I just think it'd make a gorgeous something. I'm probably going to do a hat with it. I think it'll make a very, very fun hat, but I don't know which hat. And I may pull another color, like a tonal or a solid, to use with it for the brim and just do this for the body. But the fact that it had Alabama on it and they're a limited run, I really wanted to have one, so I went ahead and made a purchase. And then the stitch marker is a little bitty license plate. And so it says Stitcher Alabama on it, because how adorable. And I think these are only like $2, and there's one for all the different states. But these have like the earring back clasp on them, which I like because sometimes those little lobster claws can be kind of hard to open. And I don't have fingernails. I always break them, and not to mention my fingernails are horrible. They're so weak. So I appreciate the little earring back one. But I love the little Stitcher Alabama license plate. That's so cute. Now I did buy that Knit Pro Zing crochet hook. I bought a 4.5, which is a 7. I only own one other 4.5 crochet hook, and I use that so much that I really wanted to have another one. And then I got my package yesterday and I opened it up and I'm like, that is not a Knit Pro Zing. So the Knit Pro Zings are $3.50. This is a Lantern Moon ebony wood. These retail for like $13. And they sent me the wrong hook, which they sent me a more expensive hook. I felt bad about it. I'm like, and it's coming from years of retail and working in loss prevention. So I sent them an email. I was like, hey, just to let you know, I had bought this hook for $3.50 and y'all sent me a $13 hook in the Lantern Moon. You may want to go in and do a adjustment to your inventory because that could cause a problem later on if someone else tried to buy the hook and there was only one left and I have it and then they couldn't find it. And they were very understanding and they just told me to keep the hook and they just basically swapped it out on my package label. I don't care that I don't have the Zing hook. I'm just as happy with this. I actually love Lantern Moon. One of my most popular videos on this channel is talking about Lantern Moon products. And so I just think it's funny that that's what I was sent, a Lantern Moon crochet hook. I have gotten to where I really kind of enjoy the wood hooks. When I used that Knitting Fever Likey, I was really shocked at how much I enjoy that kind of wood crochet hook. Other crochet hooks I've tried in the past that are bamboo, I hate. I don't like bamboo. And I've never used the Likey bamboo or Chigu bamboo or the Haya bamboo for that reason. I've only used like the lower grade bamboo hooks and needles and I can safely say that I hate those. They're very grabby and they're just a pain in the neck to work with. But using those, they're in the house right now, or I would show you. Using the Likey driftwood hooks, and the ones I have are the Umber, which are like a brown natural color. The wood is just so smooth. Like it kind of feels like metal, but it's so light in your hand. The detail on the tip of it, it's a good size. It has a little bit of a flat area right there where my thumb would go. I am this kind of holder. I think this is a knife grip. But I think if you were a pencil holder, that same thumb placement would be fine. I don't know. I tried it once. I don't like it. But I hold my crochet hook like this. And I really like the fact that it kind of has a curved head, but it also kind of has this really flat throat like a Susan Bates. So I'm really excited to try this out. I've used the Lantern Moon knitting products, but never the crochet products. So I'm excited to give this a whirl. But I thought that was pretty funny when I opened that up. So I'm like, I don't think I ordered this. And I had not. I had ordered the cheaper thing because I was trying not to spend money. And I remember that I have one more work in progress that I've been actively working on this week. And that is my BAGODAY Composed of Madness. I think that's what she calls the shawl. I don't know. But I have been busy crocheting on this. I am almost done with this shawl. I think I have 2 rows left and I am completely done. I absolutely love how this thing is coming out. I think it is absolutely gorgeous. And I think it's going to block like nobody's business because of this yarn. This is one of those Hirschner mystery cakes. But the mill also produces yarn for Art Yarns and Hobie. And the colorway that I got is very similar, almost identical to the Twister Summer Hobie that came out a couple of years ago. And so that's what I'm calling it. But there's also an art yarn that looks very similar, but I'm pretty sure this is the Hobie one because the colors are spot on as the Hobie Summer that came out many years ago. But I love this. I am on the last few rows and I have all this yarn left. So I had a little bit over 1,000 yards, and when I make shawls, I typically like to use as much yarn as possible in them because I'm tall. So a bigger shawl is only going to make me happy. So what I may do, instead of doing that last picot, I'm hoping I have enough darker blue to do the entire picot, which I don't think I'm going to, actually now looking at it. My original goal was to do all the picots in the solid blue. but I may not have enough. I may start it just to kind of see. I really need to rewind this because this is becoming a tangled mess. But I may have to do it just in this darker white stripe, because right now I'm kind of like in this white lighter, but it does get darker, and do that. I don't know. My thoughts were to just add a couple of rows of double crochet, still increasing on the sides so that way it'll still lay flat, and then use as much of the yarn as possible, and then do that last picot. I may still do that. I don't know, but I do think I only have like 2 rows left, and then that is counting that picot row. And then I just have to sew in some ends. I have not really been color controlling this at all. The only place I color control was with this blue color. And the only reason I did that is because I would have got all the way down here. I was in this blue and pink section, and so it would have been like right about here, and then it would have went straight to that blue, and I just thought that would look wacky. So I ripped it all out, and I cut that pink and blue. And this is how much I have of that. I just set it to the side. And then I started the blue for whatever row, 50 something here. The only place where the color control did not work out on its own was in this one spot. I'm trying to figure out where it is. It's even hard to tell. Right here. So it was more of this solid peachy color, and then I got to like right about this tip, and you can see where the peach gets moved into the blue. I did not color control that because it's only this one section, and you really kind of have to look for it, and I was kind of figured that would just be a waste if I had color controlled that, which this is still technically, I guess you consider a waste, but I'll just put this in an ornament or something and then it'll be fine. But this wouldn't have been enough to really worry about, so I just kind of let it play. And I think when I wear it anyways, the way I typically wear my shawls, so it'll be kind of wearing like this, you won't be able to see it, so it really won't matter. But this is going to be absolutely gorgeous, and I'm really happy that I did this shawl. I'm also really excited to be done with it, so I can wear it. And I can't wait to see it block in all of its glory, because it's going to be amazing. I'm pretty sure it's going to grow and be huge, and that's going to be awesome. So that is all I really have today. I really just want to say thank you so much for hanging out with me and spending some of your day talking about yarn with me, talking about projects with me, and just sharing in the love of all the yarny things. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope in some way it inspires you to craft, or maybe start a blanket for Boggy Creek, or work on a shawl that maybe you are kind of intimidated about, because that's how I really felt about this. I do not know enough crochet stitches, and it's Crystal from BAGODAY, and I'm like, I don't know if I can give that justice and really do that kind of pattern for a shawl, for an actual wearable. But it has been a really great learning curve, and I am really appreciative that I pushed myself to do it and to keep going, even though I had some hard times with some of this stuff, like my stitch count. I had to rip back, but I'm so grateful that I continued on, because I think it's just going to be a really great shawl to wear. And so I hope that me talking about those mishaps, which if you watch my channel, you know that I have a lot of knitting and crochet mishaps. I hope those encourage you in your own yarn journey. Hope you have a great week, and until next time,